Would you look at that? I just teleported in to the bedroom just in time. Hello and welcome or welcome back to the stream. Hopefully I'm in a little better shape than I was last night. We'll see how we go. Was just watching some highlights of the Smashing Pumpkins tour, latest tour, getting myself, you know, pumped up. Yeah. Who just followed? The great big one. Hi, welcome. Thank you for following. Yeah, so let's start off with the New York Times spelling bee, a crossword, and then we've got some more weird teachers sleeping with their teenage students, and I mean female teachers, because what is going on? Yuck, disgusting behavior. We've got some more mushroom trial, and then we've just got some, you know, some news to talk about. I don't know. Let's just see how we go. All right, let's try and get my brain working by doing the spelling bee. Ooh. Oh, I think I've thought of a word because it's American spelling, right? So we have to use the letter A, and then we've got Z-R-I-Z-O-N. Americans spell ZAR wrong, right? They spell it with a C and a Z and an A and an R, not like T-S-A-R, which is how it's spelled, by the way. As a Slavic woman, I think I would know. Thank you. Yep, it accepted it. There we go. Oh, I can make the no word. I can make the National German Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. It's not my fault it's there. It said not a word. It wouldn't let me. Hello, Dango. Razor? Iran, very topical. Not a word. I mean, it's a country name. I guess it's not technically. Well, I don't know. I don't make the rules, I guess. Acorn. I guess they don't watch David Icke over at the New York Times because archons are apparently the lizard people that steal our energy. Oh, the screen. Thank you. One day I will remember to do it. Jeez. I'm so sorry about that. How was my day? My day was okay. I'm still pretty sick and it's pretty cold in Melbourne, but we're doing our best. I can't believe I didn't have the screen on. How many times have I done that? Like, what is wrong with me? Connie. Zircon. Oh no, that doesn't use A. Boo. Razor. Already found. Oh, I did already do that. Cyan, that's a color, right? Not a word. don't know. I'm really at a loss. Acre. Can't even have acrid. There's no D. Czarina and ocarina. Oh, I can have Czarina. You're correct. Oh, that ended it. That was the word to end it all. Brought down the universe. I really have to remember to put the screen up. I'm so bad at doing it. I just like go through half a game without having the screen up. I just have such bimbo energy sometimes. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I wonder how I'm still alive because like my brain is so tired from having lupus that like it just doesn't work properly. And I'm one of those people, like, I have to check 5 times if I turned off the oven. And even if I check 5 times, sometimes, like, or sometimes I would have turned the oven off, but I think I haven't, so I turn it back on again. Like, it's just, you don't even understand the struggle of being me. Fictional maker of the Little Giant Do-It-Yourself Rocket Sled Kit. Sound made by revving an imaginary motorcycle. Broom? I'm assuming? Plant from which mezcal is distilled. Oh, that's the cactus that they make tequila out of, right? Wannabe or a try hard? I mean, I know heaps of people who are those things. Can I put them down? What a ticket entitles you to. Noble gas used in semiconductor manufacturing. Shore. Spelt as in like the seashore. Worker who's typically busiest around the last day of each month. Kind of bored at a nail salon. A file, I guess? Hit a pen. Okay. I know, at least I'm not one of those weirdos with like a corn file that has like horses in it or like a lolly or something. How many people have just been caught with like sus stuff on their computer? This is my desktop. Safe for work, guys. We are safe for work. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It's just actually so embarrassing. We're gonna go for broom. I don't know if that's how you spell it. That's the sound of the motorcycle. Plant from which mezcal is distilled. That's the cactus, right? That's that cactus that's like some type of Mexican cactus. Because mezcal's the stuff that's like tequila, right? But it's not tequila, but it's kind of similar. I think it's more expensive. Wannabe or a tryhard? I don't know, a wanker? Probably not that though, because Americans don't really say that, do they? What a ticket entitles you to? A show, a concert, entry, E-N-T-R-Y. Let's do entry. Fictional maker of the Little Giant Do-It-Yourself Rocket Sled Kit. Anyone have any idea? Nope. Alright. Wannabe or a tryhard? Like I said, I know lots of people that are like that. Is it a guava? How am I supposed to remember the tequila plant? Noble gas used in semiconductor manufacturing. Something, a guave. It is a guave. Okay. That's what I thought, but I don't know how to spell it. There are only a few noble gases. N-E... Could it be neon, argon, helium? Yeah, it's probably argon. Yeah, neon's the one that I thought, but it doesn't fit. But argon does fit, so let's go with that. Wannabe or a tryhard? Let's fall down. Kind of bored at a nail salon. See, I've never had my nails done professionally before because I just think it's a waste of money, and I would rather like save up money for like a deposit on a flat or like, you know, something like that, something useful, or just have an emergency fund, because I don't know. I always see other women look at my nails and sort of like judge me because, you know, I don't get my hair done. I do get my hair cut professionally because that's not something I can do myself. But everything else, I'm just like, no, I'm not wasting money on that. Men don't notice though. Men don't notice at all. They don't care if your nails aren't freaking... And also, like, I'm allergic to UV, so how am I supposed to put my nails under the light? Sure. Seashore. I don't know. Worker who's typically busiest the last day of each month. I don't know. Could it be like the bookkeeper, the tax dude? I don't know. I can't think of a profession that is centered around that. Payroll books. Yeah, well, it doesn't fit with anything that I've got. Acme, that would fit. That's in a lot of cartoons. Emery board. All right, we've got one more to get. I remember that the nail file is called an emery board. That's good. All right, wannabe or try hard? Coast. This is coast. 3, mover. A mover is busiest on the last... Oh, a poser. Nearly. Vape. We did it, guys. It was vape. I wrote broom instead of vroom. So once I changed it from broom, like I spelled it like a broom because, well, I don't know. I say broom, not vroom, but that's okay. Do you remember that show with the little car? With a little car called Brum? I think it was like a BBC show. Does anyone remember that? Super cute. Brum. The car. Yeah, Brum was super cute. Americans probably didn't get that show. I don't think like they watch, although they all watch Bluey, right? Didn't all these American kids started talking like an Australian? That's really funny. I love that we're just like taking over their culture. But yeah, this is Brum. So cute. Yeah, that's why I wrote Brum, Brum. All right, let's go to the mushroom trial, shall we? Oh. I am not a healthy person, guys, I tell you what. All right.
Watson's triple murder trial will extend into a 10th week, with the jury not expected to be sent out for days. Abby Dinham joins us live from the Supreme Court in Morwell. Abby, when will the jury retire to deliberate?
Jen, it looks like Monday will be the day that the jury will be sequestered to start deliberating on whether Erin Patterson is guilty of murder or, as she's maintained throughout this trial,
there probably aren't very many nice hotels in Morwell. Like, where are they going to be sequestered to? Because they usually put you up in at least like semi-decent digs, right? You got to get something out of it. And most people get paid, I think you only get like $90 a day or something like that to be on the jury. It might have gone up since like the last time I had a squiz at it. I don't know.
the deaths of 3 of her in-laws and the poisoning of a 4th was a tragic accident. Justice Christopher Beale finished off his 3rd day of directions to the jury today, indicating he will continue tomorrow and Monday morning, after which a ballot will take place to select 12 of the remaining 14 jurors who will decide. He said to them, it will be up to you and you alone to come to a unanimous decision on whether the prosecution has proven beyond reasonable doubt that the mother of 2 is criminally responsible for fatally poisoning her in-laws with that beef Wellington dish she served them in July 2023. Now, how long the jury...
I mean, a lot of people have thought about doing stuff like that to their in-laws. Some in-laws are horrible. Some people just refuse to accept the partner that, like, their children choose. It's absolutely insane. Obviously, I'm not saying make a poisonous beef Wellington. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm just suggesting that some mother-in-laws in particular will just never think that the girl that their sons choose is good enough, and they'll judge them by all types of metrics that, like, you can't help. Like, oh, she comes from a bad family. Oh, she went to a bad school. Oh, she's this, she's that, the other. It's like charming. Yeah. If I have children, as long as their partner is respectful and kind and supportive of them, I'll just be like, fine, that's great. Go for it. But yeah, some toxic assholes out there.
Jury will take to deliberate is anyone's guess, but given the amount of unprecedented global attention on this case, you can guarantee there will be many, many people watching and waiting for that verdict to be handed down.
Oh, that's it. There you go. Wow, that was short and sweet. I suppose there's really nothing to say. Get to go home, talk to their families for the weekend, and then they get to be... They'll probably... Given how much evidence there is, like, they'll get given the brief of evidence to go over while they're deliberating, but I don't think they'll spend that long looking at stuff. You want me to look at a link? Let me see what that is. Doop, 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 doop.
This is Morwell, a small, unassuming town 2 hours outside of Melbourne. Until recently, its main tourist attractions were a rose garden and an art gallery.
Ooh, I like roses.
The host of an Australian murder trial that has gripped the nation and captured international attention. and brought with it a
Oh, I can see something in the background called the Cedar Lodge Motel. It looks like it's got bed bugs. I got itchy looking at it. You know those really cheap ones that are like $75 a night or whatever? But it's like you're kind of taking your life into your own hands. It's one of those places where you would just stop because you're on the highway, and it's like, especially if you're doing a big drive, like an interstate drive, and you're like, oh God, I just need to sleep for a few hours. And then you just like get up to start driving again, and you're like, oh God, why am I so itchy? Ugh, nightmare fuel, guys, nightmare fuel.
boost for local businesses. Erin Patterson is accused of murdering 3 elderly relatives of her estranged husband using a meal laced with toxic mushrooms. Patterson denies the charges, which carry a life sentence if found guilty. The trial is being heard at Morwell's Latrobe Valley Magistrates Court, just across the road from JD's Cafe, which has had a roaring 8 weeks of trade.
Yeah, good for them.
Says the cafe has had triple its usual business.
Oh, they've got beef dumplings in miso soup.
Even though it's not great circumstances, it has been very good for our community because it's brought people from outside the area into the area.
The murder is like really, really bad, but the business is like really, really good. So, you know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't pay her out, but it's just funny. She's like, not everybody has media training, you know. I shouldn't be mean. Sorry, lady. I just, you know, I gotta do the lols for the internet. I'm sorry.
As you probably know, people have been lining up early mornings to try and get in the courtroom and things like that. So it's just been good that they've been able to come to our town and see what we have to offer.
Along with local businesses, demand for hotels and motels have also increased. Here's motel manager John Nichol.
I'm told it has been pretty busy. A lot of journalists and legal people staying here at the motel, so normally a quieter time of the year, it has been a bit of a boom for the motel and for the area in general. It's really captured the interest of not only the town but the nation. No, I haven't seen anything that would probably equal it.
This looks like so many places. This town looks like about, I don't know, 20 suburbs in Melbourne that I've been to. Like, did they all get designed by the same person?
But not everyone in town has seen business increase, like newsagent Ray Burgess.
I couldn't say we've seen a boom to the business, but certainly there's been a lot of interest in the town, and there's a lot of excitement at the beginning when the case started. You know, life will go on, life moves on, and the town will go back to what it was before, and that'll be it.
The jury is expected to retire this week to consider a verdict after 9 weeks of trial.
Yeah, it's a shame there's not like a cute little
Martha,
guest house or
you've been
something
reporting
there, but shush. The Age never lets me read any of its articles. They're always behind paywalls, so you can go away. I just gotta make a quick break. I'll be back in like less than a few minutes. Hang on. I am back. All right, we got another sicko to look at. This one got knocked up by the child that she had unlawful, immoral, disgusting relations with. I'm kind of turning into the succulent Chinese meal guy, I feel like. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of picking up that I see you know your judo well. And, just don't know how to feel about it. Democracy Manifest.
Fifth grade teacher are so shocking, they're hard to believe. Not only did she sexually assault a boy for years, when he was just 11 years old, she allegedly had his baby.
11, and she had his baby. Disgusting. Chuck her in the bin. Look at this. Look at the state of this, lady. I would say get some help, but we're beyond that, aren't we? Jeez. Oof.
When he was 13. Now a grand jury's indicted Laura Karen, and we are diving into this twisted story. And oh, by the way, she's out on bond. We're on the case presented by
Of course she is.
I'm Chris Stewart.
If the genders were reversed, he wouldn't be the perpetrator wouldn't be alive, right? If a guy did that to an 11-year-old girl and got a 13-year-old girl pregnant, the town would be out there with pitchforks. Like, old mate would be dead, right? Like, it's so, it just really bothers me how female assailants are treated, like, so much differently. And, like, little boys are given like this agency and this maturity. Like, it's almost like, oh, it's not that bad if you do it to a boy, because like they just see, like, I don't know, it's just really bizarre.
You might still be digesting what I just said there in the open of this show because of what a fifth grade teacher is accused of in South Jersey. Her name is Laura Karen. And there is a lot to unpack in this story when we look at what she's accused of. Before I get to the new details that just came down on this case in just the last week, let me remind you of what Karen allegedly did. Karen was a fifth grade teacher at a public elementary school in
It's pretty easy to see what she did conclusively. If the baby is the victim's child, a paternity test will easily substantiate that. Although I'm sure that's not a novel idea. I'm sure the prosecution has already obtained that. You heard something about a lot of boys being tried as adults too. Yeah, well, we tend to think, like, it's really interesting that females are sort of given like this victim, even when they're perpetrators, they're sort of given a lot of like sympathy and leeway, like, and little boys are given like well, you know, they were probably a little bit, like, I feel like people say, oh, they were probably complicit too, and look, like, the boys might be saying yes at the time, but they're children, they can't consent. Like, they're hitting puberty and, you know, they're feeling the feelings that, you know, boys of that age feel, but that doesn't mean they can consent to relations with an adult. And an adult, when a child says to you, hey, I think you're hot, you go, that's nice, get away from me. Go see the principal. Goodbye.
Township, New Jersey. It's a town located along the coast near the southernmost tip of the Garden State. This story broke in January, and it was broken in a very unique and explosive way because the father of the alleged victim, who we'll talk about in just a moment, went on Facebook and posted that Karen's 5-year-old son looked very similar to his son, as if his son was the father. Now, Karen's daughter was born in 2019, and that is when the father's son was just 13 years old. Karen was 28. I'll get into what police have allegedly found out as they've been building their case that this 5-year-old girl is in fact the son of a then 13-year-old boy. But here's how Karen allegedly gained access to this young boy. Not only did Karen just teach the alleged victim and his brother, but they lived with Karen. According to court documents, the victim's parents say they struck up a friendship with their boy's 5th grade teacher. They allowed their kids to spend time at her house, and eventually they allowed the kids to spend the night there.
No. No, oh no. How guilty must the poor parents feel? Because honestly, you don't expect that from a woman. And like this, look, this is something in society that's going to have to change, because obviously now we know that are these female predators. And I think this is probably something that's always happened, and now we're just finding out about it because of technology, right? Parents are finding texts and sex and you know, nudes and things like that being exchanged. But I think it's always something that happened, right? But young boys thought they could never come forward, right? Because they're going to be laughed at. They're going to be mocked. Like, I think as a woman, you know, when you're a woman or when you're a girl and you come forward, yeah, there's a chance that you're not going to be believed, that people are going to think that you're lying. And obviously that's a big deterrent for women to come forward. But I think men get mocked, right? I think there's that mocking, or that, yeah, but the teacher was really hot, right? So, you know, you liked it. It's not traumatizing because you liked it. And it's like, well, no, you're a child. You were violated. You were taken advantage of. Like, I don't know. It's just very bizarre.
Records, quote, it began with 1 or 2 nights a week, and eventually the children stayed with Karen permanently from 2016 to 2020. Now,
what?
Listen, that living arrangement certainly stuck out to us. It's unclear what was going on.
So she was the children, she was, did I mishear this? She was essentially the guardian of the child that she molested. Am I getting this right? What on God's green earth? How guilty would you feel as the parents? But what's happening with this? Like, what's happening at home with the birth parents that they're okay to just relinquish custody to a teacher? I'm so confused. There's got to be some puzzle pieces missing. This seems very, very unorthodox, to say the freaking least.
Going on that the parents decided that their kids should go and live with their 5th grade teacher for several years. Police spoke with the victim's sister, who also stayed at Karen's house, and she said that she and her siblings would stay in a shared room upstairs in the home. But there were times in the morning when she would wake up and her then 11-year-old brother wouldn't be in the room with them. Instead, he would be in Karen's bedroom, sleeping in her bed. She also said that while the other children showered in a 2nd floor bathroom, the victim, her brother, would shower in a 1st floor bathroom. And she also said that she allegedly saw Karen enter the bathroom and lock the door. According to court documents, Karen sexually abused this victim starting in 2016 when that boy was just 11 years old, and it continued on for 4.
11 is a child. 11 is like, I know these people are PDF files, but it's so bizarre to me that people can look at a child and go, that's not in sexual maturity, and like find them attractive, or even like a teenager. That's still so creepy. But this is a child. This is just like so disgusting.
Years. When interviewed by police, the victim said that he believed that Karen, his former 5th grade teacher, would have sex with him twice a week. And then he continued communication with Karen up until his dad made that Facebook post last year alleging that Karen was the mother of the victim's child. All right, let's talk about those allegations. Not only do police have the Facebook post made by the victim's father, they also allegedly have a screenshot that the victim's sister took of a conversation that she had with the victim, where he, quote, admits he is the father and, quote, requests her not to tell anyone because he does not want Karen to get in trouble. Police also say the victim's mom spoke with her son, and she says that he admitted to her that he is the now 5-year-old girl's dad. Hey everybody, this
But it's so emotionally confusing for these kids that are getting abused, right? Because they think they're in love with this lady. They think like, oh, we've got a family, we've got a kid together. They want to protect their abuser. It's all so cruel and so sick. And they're not going to realize until they get to the teacher's age. That's usually what happens, right? They get to the age of the person that molested them, and then they look at an 11-year-old and go, oh, holy crap, that's what, like, that's a child, and that's what happened to me. So, just so heartbreaking.
This is a law and crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes, and not a child under 21?
Stop feeding your kids sugar, America. There you go. I solved type 2 diabetes. Make your children exercise and don't feed them sugar.
The mom of a 13-year-old's child, and sexual abuse went public. She was charged with aggravated sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of a child. The school district where she worked said she was put on administrative leave. Now, this is video of the teacher in court per WPVI TV, and according to court records, the former teacher is now out on bond for non-monetary conditions. Now, her defense attorney has pointed out that at this time, there's no DNA evidence that proves that the victim is indeed the father of Karen's child. The alleged father of her child is now 20 years old, and the Daily Mail claims that they spoke with him, and they say he is standing by his former teacher. He claims he wasn't groomed by Karen, but, quote, I started everything. If it was up to me, she wouldn't have been in jail. It's been 6.
Oh, he still can't accept that what happened to him was abuse. That's so sad. That's so sad. Oh, mate, that's so awful. You didn't initiate anything. You were a child. You can't. She is the adult and she is the one to walk away. I just can't even fathom. I just can't even fathom as an adult woman. Anybody that looks like under the age of, I don't know, 30 looks like a child to me. It's like, ew, please go away. Is your dad around? Is your dad hot? Okay. Is he single? Did mum and dad break up? I do like a DILF. Let's go.
6 or 7 years. I'm 19, about to be 20. This week, a grand jury in Cape May County, New Jersey, indicted Karen. The prosecutor on the case, named Jeffrey Sutherland, stated, quote, these allegations are deeply disturbing, particularly given the position of trust the defendant held in relation to the victim. Our office remains committed to protecting the most vulnerable members of our community and will continue to aggressively investigate and prosecute those who violate that trust. Join us now to talk about this case is Practice Professor of Law at Temple University, Marian Bracha. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. This is a shocking story that's taking place not too far from where you live in Philadelphia. Have you seen a case like this before? It just seems we've talked about teachers who have been accused of.
Yeah, you only talk to the kids to get access to their parents, the MILFs and the DILFs, 100%. See, that's, you know, that's maybe slightly immoral. You know, if you see a hot dad and you're like, say to the kid, hey, are mommy and daddy still together? They're not? Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to go talk to dad for a second. All right, let's go. See, now I'm the creep, hidden on all the DILFs. Watch out. Look up your dads, everybody. I'm in town.
Of crossing the line, but this just seems to be at a whole new level.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, there have been cases where teachers, those in caregiving positions, those who are really supposed to be the most responsible for the well-being of our children, have engaged in conduct like this. And I have seen and in fact handled other cases where pregnancy has resulted as a result of this context.
What stands out to you in terms of the relationship between this alleged victim and this teacher? Because she taught him, but then he's living at her house with his siblings, and it went on for a long period of time.
Right. Well, I think the most confounding.
If the children are living with the teacher, was this some type of like CPS thing? Was she fostering the children? Because that's very unusual to have them all in the same room. Typically, you would at least, as a foster carer, have to have, especially after age 11, age 12, you would have to separate the genders, right? That's usually a prerequisite that we have for foster carers? Or was this like an informal agreement? Like the fact that they're not in their parental custody kind of suggests to me that maybe this is a very dysfunctional family that this kid has come from, which makes him even more vulnerable. And absolutely disgusting that this fucking thing, excuse me, but what a monster. What an absolute monster. Freaking smiling like that, you freaking demon woman. Yeah, it's just I wonder if this kid can ever come to terms with what happened to him, because he's still defending his abuser. He probably thinks that, you know, they were in love. No, she's a predator. You were a child.
Factor in all of this was the age of the complainant or the alleged victim. At the start, I believe it's alleged that he was only 11 years old, and it continued for a certain number of years. So if you think about an 11-year-old, that's in some instances even prepubescent. So it's pretty shocking that sexual contact would have started that young.
Yeah, he's apparently turning 20 very soon. He's 19, turning 20. I guess he's turning 20 this year, which is why they're mentioning the 19 turning 20. Otherwise, it's not really relevant.
What is it about? Because we've covered a lot of cases where teachers have had sexual relations with students. What have you found the driving factor is behind so many of these cases where you see a teacher do something like this, allegedly, with someone who is so young and it went on for so long?
Well, I don't want to generalize, and I don't want to say that there is one particular factor or one trait that runs in common across either every defendant who's been accused of a crime like this, or certainly any defendant who's been convicted of a crime like this. I will, however, say that there is diagnostic material that a sex offender would go through an analysis, would go through a psychiatric analysis post-conviction, and there are diagnoses in the DSM that are related to the abuse of children and to the adult attraction to children. As disturbing as that may sound to your viewers, that is a diagnosis that is recognized in the medical community. But I think more than that, in a case like this, what we're looking at is someone who really abused the trust and abused the access that they were given to children, and someone who just violated the most basic tenets of trust and caregiving in our society.
Yeah, I mean,
of a child. So that is where we are seeing the allegation of the sexual penetration, not only sexual contact, but sexual penetration of a child younger than age 13. The sexual assault charge is a second degree charge that is basically what Pennsylvania and what some other states would call statutory sexual assault. So that means that there was contact with a minor who was under the age of 16, in this case under the age of 13, by an alleged perpetrator who was more than 4 years older than the alleged
Hi, Duan Pre. Good to see you.
victim. So that's why there are two charges that do not merge. They carry different elements that must be proven by the prosecution on all counts.
Last week, she was indicted by a grand jury on these charges. And I've often heard people say that it's very simple to get a grand jury indictment, but what actually happens during that? What type of evidence is presented, and what is the bar to get that? Is it really that easy to get a grand jury indictment, as much as I think sometimes you hear attorneys say?
So I think that some of the resistance and some of the bad rap, if you will, against a grand jury proceeding is that the defense is not present. So the defendant is not present at those proceedings. There is no cross-examination of the prosecution witnesses at those proceedings, by and large. There are certainly exceptions, and there are certainly states that handle grand
Huh, I've never heard of anything like this. That's really interesting.
juries very differently. But the bar is at any pre-trial hearing, the standard really is prima facie. So at a pre-trial or at a preliminary hearing, what the process.
Oh, so it's like a committal trial. Okay, I have heard something like this. I thought she meant that was the way the case was going to be tried without like a defense. And I was like, what? Okay, it's just a committal. It's just a committal. All right.
That it is more likely than not that a crime was committed, and that it is more likely than not that the person who's accused, that the named defendant, was the person who committed that crime. So they do have to establish that a crime was committed and that the person they are seeking to charge is more likely than not the person who committed that crime.
Yeah, so in Australia, this would be called the committal, and it would just basically be a judge or magistrate would look at the brief of evidence, look at the evidence that the prosecution has and the case that they have, and assess with the chances of a prosecution being successful, you know, of a guilty verdict, if there's enough there. Because obviously, like, prosecuting a case is very, very expensive, and it's just sort of to not waste resources if there's no chance of a conviction. But yeah, it's just basically a judge or magistrate, or in Australia, that's what it's called, seeing the merits of the prosecution's case. So yeah, it's what would be called a committal in Australia.
Again, that is a lesser standard than what we have heard and what we know from trial, which is beyond a reasonable doubt. When this case, if this case goes to trial, the defendant would absolutely have the Fifth Amendment right to confrontation, would have the right to be present for any testimony presented against her by either the complaining witness or any other expert witnesses who the prosecution would call. And of course, in order for a conviction to attach, a fact finder, either a judge or a jury, would have to find that the prosecution proved every element of every crime charged against this defendant beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard that has applied to criminal cases for the 200 and almost.
Juan's got some news, everybody. What is up? What is your news? Is it exciting? I hope it's good news.
Almost 50 years of this country's existence.
No, so that happens, the committal, or whatever she said, I think grand jury or blah, 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 whatever she said. I don't remember because I'm not American and I don't really need to know, to be honest. You almost got hit by a car. Well, be careful, Dwan. Jeez. Out there jumping off buildings, almost getting hit by cars. So the committal happens before a trial commences. It's just somebody, yeah. It's just somebody that's not on the prosecution. You know, as somebody, as a judge, saying, yeah, this has a good chance of success. Let's take it to trial. And that's essentially what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Apparently they don't have DNA evidence. I don't know why. It seems if she's been charged, they should just be able to do a DNA test on the child. Although if she's the sole guardian, I guess I don't know. Can they compel in that case? I don't know. You think they would be able to compel, even though typically you would get guardian consent. But in this case, the guardian is the person that committed the crime, not against the child, but against the father who was a child at the time. It's very convoluted, and I guess that's why it's maybe hard to deal with.
One thing I noticed is they have members of the victim's family saying that he has said that he is the father of this now 5-year-old daughter who allegedly was born when he was just 13 years old.
Oh, goodness.
But they don't have the DNA. They don't have the paternity test to prove. What is the process of getting?
You went to the shops and a car sped past and almost hit you. Did you get the rego plates? Did you get the number plates? I guess I was probably going too fast. But you should maybe call the cops and tell them what the car looked like. Because, yeah, that guy is driving like a dick. Well, I hope you're okay. And I hope you're not too shaken up. And I hope the person that almost hit you learns to fucking drive.
That, if you're the prosecution, to have that piece of evidence, assuming that now that she has a defense attorney, that there may have to be some back and forth.
Sure. I mean, there's almost certainly going to be a search warrant executed for her DNA, for the child's DNA, for the alleged victim's DNA. There are certain things that we do not have an expectation of privacy in. We do not have an expectation of privacy in our appearance because we walk down the street with our face showing. We don't have an expectation of privacy in our fingerprints because we leave fingerprints everywhere on subway stations, on glass doors, on surfaces that we touch at coffee shops. So our DNA is actually something that we leave, that we don't have an expectation of privacy in. It will be, I would think, a rather straightforward process for the prosecution to request a search warrant from a judge or from a magistrate in New Jersey to have that search warrant executed, meaning that a buccal swab will be taken. It looks like a tongue depressor, but it's plastic and it scrapes along the inside of a subject's mouth to take buccal cells from a person's mouth, and then those the results of that DNA sample.
Yeah, he should have at least stopped one to see if you were okay. I'm sorry that he didn't. Yeah. There are some psychos on the road lately. Like, I've just noticed everybody in the last few years has such bad road rage. Like, I really haven't driven in such a long time because I get so stressed out because of the way that people drive and are so aggro. I'm just like, it gives me anxiety. If I don't have to drive and if somebody else can drive, I'm like, please just drive my car. I don't want to deal with it because everybody's psycho out there.
Would be compared and could be used in court to prove that the offspring between this defendant and the alleged victim was the result of sexual intercourse between them.
Whether or not she had his baby, which is just it's a wild accusation, but it wouldn't change the fact that she allegedly sexually assaulted him and she's charged with that sexual abuse. How does the baby factor into what her punishment could be and how this trial goes forward?
Well, first of all, the baby, I hate to say it, is probably the best physical evidence that exists that there was sexual conduct and sexual penetration in this case, because the baby and the DNA from that baby would be the proof that these two people reproduced together. And of course, the only way to do that, unless they're alleging that there was some...
Well, a baby is definitely what we would call a smoking gun, right? Can't get a baby without any child word, can you? No.
Kind of in vitro fertilization, but the only way to have done that would have been through sexual contact, through sexual penetration. So will the baby factor into a sentencing decision? Maybe. I have seen judges take into consideration female defendants who have children or who have sole caregiving responsibility. But what makes this complicated, especially in the state of New Jersey, is that there are enhanced penalties attached to that aggravated sexual assault charge. So while a felony in the first degree might carry 10 to 20 years in New Jersey, this particular charge under an act that was enacted several years ago would carry enhanced penalties. So it could be 25 to life. And there are certain negotiations that the prosecution could enter into that might reduce the sentence to 15 years. But I believe under that same act in New Jersey, 85% of the sentence imposed would have to be served before a defendant would be eligible for parole in a case like this. So the baby might factor into a conversation regarding plea negotiations, but under the language of this particular act in New Jersey, the sentencing enhancement is pretty serious.
How effective are those sentencing enhancement laws when they go in terms of getting plea deals or seeing impacts to cases like this? And I don't know if scaring people away from doing the crime is the right term, but how effective do you see some of these enhancements?
We really need to study these women's brains. Like this, either it's just that it's being discovered more recently or more people are coming forward, or like I said, because of the technological aspect, of correspondence between the abusers and the kids that we're finding out. But yeah, you would only ever hear about the creepy male teacher before, right? You would only ever hear about a creepy male teacher. Like, these middle-aged women like abusing male children in their care. It's disgusting. It's so bizarre.
It's actually on issues like this.
Well, we're going to get into a pretty philosophical discussion about the effectiveness of deterrence, right? And if our sentencing guidelines are even effective deterrence at all. But in a case like this, I think that the availability of a sentence enhancement is probably more useful when it comes to the prosecution's position for negotiating and for entering into any kind of plea arrangement, a plea agreement where the defendant might plead guilty to either a lesser included charge or to an agreed upon sentence, for less than the 25-year enhanced penalty that the aggravated charge would carry. I don't know that these enacted sentence enhancements, either on sexual assault crimes or on crimes of violence.
You think it's stunted cognitive development, women thinking they're competing with girls. Well, I think there is an element to it, right? I think there is some type of Freudian element to it, right? I almost said elephant instead of element. Yeah, of being chosen by young boys, right? Like I'm still attractive. I'm still, in my sexual prime because this child is attracted to me. It's bizarre. It's bizarre to anybody with a normal brain, but I think there is some element of that.
Violence, crimes with deadly weapons, even homicide charges. I don't know how effective, or if our current research shows us that they are effective in terms of deterrence, because I hate to be nihilistic, but people will act the way they will act, and so I don't know that they're necessarily thinking about the sentencing code when they're engaging in criminal behavior.
And then in this case, in the text message that the victim's sister apparently has, where she says,
well, be careful, Dwan. Like, be very, very careful if you live somewhere where there have been a lot of car accidents. Yeah, just be really, really careful. Like, obviously, it's not your fault. It's the driver's fault. But, yeah, if somebody has been hit by a car in that area, then maybe it's just like maybe it's just a black spot. And, yeah, just be really careful.
Admits that he is the father of this now 5-year-old child. And part of it is he says he doesn't want the teacher, he doesn't want Laura Karen to get in trouble. And do you find it difficult for victims to kind of understand that they are victims in stories like this?
I do, unfortunately, especially in cases where, and I hate to be gendered, and I hate to generalize again, but in cases where the victim or the alleged victim is male, there are, I think, a lot of cultural biases that apply to say that, when a male victim is at the center of a case like this, that maybe there was consent, or maybe that the male victim was.
And even if a male child is pursuing you as an adult woman, you are the adult. You walk away, you say no. They are a child, even if they are trying to initiate the interaction. They actually can't consent because they are a baby. They are a child. Unless that kid is old enough to drink and vote. And even then, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird if you're in your late 20s or 30s and you're like stooping a 19-year-old. I mean, is it legal? Yeah, but you're still a bit of a creep. Like, what do you talk about? Well, I guess they're not talking, are they? But oof, yuck. That's just weird to me.
Mature beyond their years and could handle or could understand the sexual activity that was happening. And I think that is unfortunately a very gendered cultural bias that we should be challenging, and that is being challenged by prosecutions like this. And it is unfortunately
But that grooming and that emotional manipulation and that gaslighting that that child has been exposed to for years. Also, she was his carer for a number of years. So she was a maternal figure as well, which makes it, yeah, it brings in like that Freudian aspect, right? You know how Freud was like, oh, all boys want to have relations with their mother. You know, that whole chestnut. Yeah, she was a maternal figure to him as well. So there's all these different types of love and all these confusing feelings, and obviously, you know, the activities that they engaged with can be, you know, quite bonding. Like, it's insane. Do I know Josh Strife Hayes? No, I don't know who that is. It's a gaming channel, but he was a teacher and he has a lot of stories. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of stories. What can we say?
Very common occurrence to have to explain to a victim as young as 13, or at this point now, 16, that they really didn't have the capacity to consent when they were as young as 11 or 12 or 13. And that is oftentimes, in my experience, something that these victims don't come to appreciate until much later in life.
And then in this case, if the allegations, and it seems like the prosecution has to this point, they have certainly allegations against her, but how do you see this case proceeding forward?
Well, now that they have the grand jury indictment secured, I would assume that they will, if they haven't already pursued search warrants for the DNA evidence, that they would pursue subpoenas for DNA, for forensic testing, to compare the paternity, to compare the samples. They would also probably subpoena records of vital statistics, things like birth certificates and hospital records from where the child was born, to show the date and the memorialization of how many weeks along gestation the child was when born, and that kind of establishes the timeline for the sexual contact that allegedly occurred between the defendant and the victim. So I would assume that between the grand jury indictment and any pretrial proceedings that are scheduled, that the investigation will be ongoing, that records will be gathered, that discovery will be passed, and perhaps there will be conversations between the defense and the prosecution about possible non-trial dispositions that would perhaps alleviate the enhanced sentence that could attach to a conviction like this.
We'll see how it all plays out. Marion Bracha, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for talking about this one with us.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good afternoon.
Karen is...
Where are all these sickos coming from? It's been happening in Australia as well. And these are always like attractive, usually attractive, or at least like somewhat possibly decently attractive, like women in their mid-20s or mid-30s, and they're preying on kids. And you always see the comments. There's always grown men saying, "Where was she when I was in high school?" It's like, no. Stop. Like, can we as a society accept that like male children are as vulnerable as female children? Like, absolutely gross. Just really boils my piss. Like, all right, let's see what Anthony Albanese is saying. Divorced day drinkers? Yeah, I reckon. There's so many Kumagunas out there, guys. Jeez.
Is defending its decision to impose sanctions on 2 Israeli ministers while trying to reassure Israel of its broader commitment to peace in the Middle East.
Oh, we're putting sanctions on Israelis? Go us. About time.
The move has provoked outrage from Israel and drawn condemnation from the United States.
2 Israeli ministers tonight sanctioned by Australia and its allies in the strongest rebuke of a former partner.
For their role in serious human rights violations and abuses relating to Israeli settler violence in the West Bank.
It is outrageous.
It is outrageous that Australia would call us out on our disgusting human rights violations. How dare you, Australia? How dare you, dickhead? Fucking... well, I don't want to go too Australian because we are quite fond of 4-letter words over here. So I'll just try to maintain my composure. Let's go.
Elected representatives and members of the government are subjected to this kind of measures.
The two men will be banned from travelling to Australia, while financial assets.
How dare you give me how dare you allow me to face the consequences of my actions? How very dare. It's like a toddler. These people are like literal, that is toddler brain. You know how you can't reason with a toddler? It's like you have to wait till they get a certain age. You just sort of have to ride out these tantrums, try to gently guide them, you know, this is not how we behave, because you can't reason with them yet. You can't have a conversation with them yet. It's like the Israelis, they have big feelings and they don't know how to deal with them yet.
Assets here and in partner countries will be frozen.
And we've joined with 4 of the Five Eyes countries, including
oh yeah,
New
baby,
Zealand,
let's
Canada,
go.
And the United Kingdom.
America is the 5th Five Eyes intelligence partner. Secretary of State Marco Rubio tweeting, "We remind our partners not to forget who the real enemy is. The United States urges the reverse."
No, that sentence should end at the word states. We remind our partners not to forget who the real enemy is, the United States. Yes, I agree. You are the real enemy. Congratulations for finally admitting it, Marco Rubio. We welcome you to the Big Brain Society. Well done, mate. Salute you.
Of the sanctions and stands shoulder to shoulder with Israel.
We want a strong friendship with the people of Israel, but
we don't.
take issue.
We're fine.
The actions of the Netanyahu government.
We find that extremely unhelpful. It will do nothing to get us closer.
See? I get called stupid on YouTube because I say America interferes with our right to self-determination. They won't even let us make a diplomatic decision on our own without chiding us for doing so. But apparently I'm an idiot and a stupid little girl. And I like the way people always assume like my age and that I'm like super young. Like, I'm not old, but I'm not like a teenager. I'm not in my early 20s. Like, I don't know how old people think I am, and I'm not going to disclose that. But somebody with the academic credentials that I have does, you know, and the life experience that I have, I'm an adult. So yeah. Anyway, just you know, I've been streaming for 5 weeks and I've already got ops, which, you know, is pretty funny. It's just like these old American middle-aged men getting like pissed off that a little girl is having opinions. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
To a ceasefire in Gaza.
The Albanese government went to great lengths today separating its approach to the Netanyahu government with its approach to the Israeli people and Jewish Australians.
It's very important.
If they want to be babies and try and like extrapolate something out to the entire, you know, diaspora or whatever, let them. Like, if they want to be big babies, like, you shouldn't have to quantify it. They're adults. They should be able to use their discernment and their comprehension skills. You said it's a Netanyahu government and their policies that you are taking umbrage with. And if people want to, you know, play victim and kvetch about that, then, you know, that's on them. Nobody ever, like, nobody ever coddles any other one, like any other group like this, right? Like, suck it up. Suck it up. If people talk shit about Australia, I'm like, cool, don't come here, mate. No one's asking you to. Like, I don't have a cry about it.
That we reject any attempt to hold the Australian Jewish community responsible for the actions of the Netanyahu government.
In a statement, the opposition said it is for the government to explain how this action contributes to the safe return of all remaining hostages held by Hamas and a lasting peace.
My sense is that they have certain...
Wow, Suzanne with 50 S's or whatever. Yep, you believe in numerology and you get to lecture us. It's not about that. It's about the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, darling. And it's really, really interesting that all these Iranian bunkers are, you know, really underground, you know, possibly, according to some reports, you know, 100 meters underground of solid bedrock, solid mountain. And you know all the schematics for these sites. Look, what I'm saying is if Mossad wanted, oh, see you, Dango. I hope you have a good sleep. If Mossad wanted to extract the hostages, they would. They're clearly using it as a pretext to rid Gaza of its populace and to annex Gaza. And I guarantee you the West Bank will be next. And then it will be they'll try it with Egypt or Jordan, one or the other. So yeah, the West needs to, the civilized world needs to put its foot down now. I don't even like saying the West because I don't think Australia should be considered the West. We are in the Asia Pacific, and I think we should be considered part of that region. And I think we have more in common with our Asian neighbors than we do with Canada and the UK. And like, what do I have in common with a Canadian and a Pom or a Yank? Like nothing. Kiwis, yeah, Kiwis are our brothers, fine. You know, we can argue over who invented the flat white and the pavlova. Spoiler alert, it was obviously Australia, suck it up. But you know, they share a lot of our values, and obviously, you know, they're fine. They're fine. They can chill with us. Also, they're next door, you know, they're in our region too, so
Certainly done the wrong thing here.
Charles Croucher, 9 News. The government's strength in this parliament is allowing it to speak more confidently on the international front. These sanctions add another layer of complexity to the proposed talks between Anthony Albanese and Donald Trump, because the Americans are clearly unimpressed. The Europeans, meanwhile, are eyeing their own.
We don't care. We are a sovereign nation. We have the right to self-determination. Do you get it, America? Do I need to put a bunch of Zs and take the U's out of a bunch of words for no reason for you to be able to comprehend? Because I know you use special boy English over there, but like how many Zs and how many U's do I need to remove from words for you to get it? We're a sovereign nation. We're allowed to make our own diplomatic determinations. The UN agrees that Israel is committing war crimes according to international law. The strikes on Iran were illegal. So yeah, what do they have on you? What do they have on you? Israel has never, ever, ever, ever helped America in any way, but all you guys do is help them. Australia, we have sent our troops into every single fucking war you guys have had since Vietnam. We conscripted our boys into Vietnam, and we don't get the Israeli treatment. That's really, really interesting. They got you on a leash. They got you on a leash. You're their little doggy. Little doggy, come here. Let me give you a pat. Good boy. That's you. Freaking losers.
Own opportunity. The EU ambassador here today said teaming up will be crucial to defend things like trade, democracy and freedom, including informal talks on a security pact. There's no suggestion that Europe would replace America as our most...
Or an Ethernet cable, Wi-Fi, you know, down to like your bunker that you're hiding in. That's like a few 100 meters underground or whatever. I would be in hiding too. When Bibi Netanyahu has explicitly said that he wants to end me, yeah, I'm hiding. I obviously, you know, don't have a bunker myself, but I would, you know, at least go out bush with my tent and, you know, at this time of year, my goose down sleeping bag. You know, I've got some survival skills. I'm an outdoorsy girl. I mean, I used to be before I had lupus, actually. I probably couldn't hike very far these days with a tent, but I'd probably die. But at least I would die a free woman if Benjamin Netanyahu ever decided to try and assassinate me. But that's the thing. Israelis would freaking die in the Australian bush.
Nowhere to be seen. The most powerful person in Iran, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the ruler of Iran for the last 36 years. And tonight, there are major questions about his well-being and his whereabouts. Since Trump announced the ceasefire, we have not heard a single word.
You don't think that Mossad's already 86'd him and they're just covering it up until they sort of do the succession and get the next dude in? I mean, that's a possibility, right? That they're just trying to keep it on the DL, that he's actually has been assassinated. Because I wouldn't put it past a certain leader of a certain theocratic Middle Eastern country. I would not, BB. I would not put it past you.
From him, we've heard from Iran's president, we've heard from the foreign minister, we've heard from the head of the IRGC, as I just showed you. But we have not heard from the supreme leader. In fact, as of right now, as I'm talking, it has been more than 48 hours since his last post on social media, which was this image of an American flag.
Whenever anyone says Supreme, I think about that clothing brand and I think about pizza. Supreme Pizza. I mean, I'm like more of a pepperoni and like I like a good cheese pizza, like maybe a 4 cheese or a margarita. But Supreme, sometimes you just want a pizza with like everything on it, you know? It's pretty good.
Going up in flames. And while our Fred Plykin has seen people on the streets of Tehran, among the regime faithful, holding up pictures of the Ayatollah, this appears to be the last time that we've seen him on camera. That was back on June 18th, exactly 1 week ago. Since then, we know he's been in a bunker hiding. According to the New York Times, no longer using electronic communications, reportedly has a list of several successors in case he's killed. A source even telling me that the foreign minister was unable to get in touch with the supreme leader of the country during the ceasefire itself on whether to make a deal. I mean, this is incredible. This is the man who has been calling the shots for 36 years. And here we are at one of the most important moments, maybe the most important in those years. And he's nowhere to be seen. And there's been no one more vocal over those past decades when it comes to threatening the United States. He has led the Death to America chants. He's warned the United States would suffer irreparable damage, his words, should it enter the conflict between Iran and Israel, right? Leading the charge on this. He also threatened American bases. He's the one who warned that they are within Iran's reach. So his absence is glaring, and it comes at a crucial time. The ceasefire between Iran and Israel hanging on by a thread, holding tonight, mercifully, but still very fragile and new. Well, here's the president of Iran.
Can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon.
Of course, that's the president of the United States, although now I wonder what he would think of the misspeak I just had. Jeff Zeleny is out front live outside the White House. And Jeff, you know, in that context, you hear Israel controlling the skies, President Trump saying that Iran, he almost doesn't worry about whether there's a nuclear deal or not because the damage that the U.S. inflicted in those strikes was so severe, right? He's made that very clear. But the absence of the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, is so crucial at this time to imagine the most important leader of a country being completely absent. What is the White House view on this?
Aaron, it's notable that there.
Bibi Netanyahu has explicitly said he's going to assassinate him. So it's one of two things. One, Mossad's already done the job and the Iranian government is hiding it from its citizenry until, you know, a successor is elected. However that works in an Islamic theocracy. I'm not exactly sure what the process is there. But I'm sure there's a second in charge and I'm sure they're probably just going to take the place. Or he's hiding somewhere very, very secure, so secure that they only have air-gapped devices, right? So no internet connectivity, no phone signal, no way to contact anybody. And that's why he can't be reached. Like, it's not rocket science, guys. Like, I'm a little bimbo and I worked it out. So there you go. I'm just going to grab some Panadol.
view publicly, at least, is silence, and that speaks volumes potentially. President Trump is making his way back here to the White House. He's scheduled to land this hour, and he has not said anything significantly. But behind the scenes, White House and administration officials also are not at least publicly talking about this. So it does raise questions. Now, you'll remember the whole reason that these discussions began with the U.S. and Iran a few months ago was because the Supreme Leader approved them. He signed off on them. And the question today that the U.S. President raised at the NATO press conference was Iran talks next week. Very few details about who will participate in those, if they will be at high levels or not, or what the outline of all that is. Even as President Trump is saying that, basically a gentleman's agreement is enough. They don't need any type of signed document about, limiting the future of the nuclear program. So it is a question. I do not have an answer for you on this. Administration officials do not seem to have an answer. So that perhaps is one of the most unknown parts of the intelligence reports that are still coming in here. So it's something certainly to keep an eye on. But for all sides essentially touting victory in this, the silence certainly is notable, Aaron.
All right, Jeff Zeleny, thank you so much. At the White House tonight, where, of course, the president's returned from the NATO summit. Out front now, Arash Azizi, an Iranian journalist who's deeply sourced in his home country, also a contributor at The Atlantic. Nazila Fadi, she was the New York Times correspondent based in Tehran for a decade. And Jim Sciutto, of course, our national security analyst. So, Arash, I know your sources have been telling you a lot about the Supreme Leader. In fact, some telling you that the Ayatollah's days could be numbered. What are you learning?
Well, yeah, his days are obviously numbered. A leader of a country in his region has explicitly said that he wants to assassinate him. Are we all okay? Do we all have like short-term memory loss? This is stuff that's happened in the last week. Like I said, I have SLE. I have brain fog. Sometimes I have issues with recall. And I remember, so... Yeah, get it together, guys. Get it together.
I'm learning that Tehran is really in the middle of a ferocious political struggle over the future of the country. This was already going on in lower form since Ayatollah Khamenei is 86. Who is going to take power after him, which direction the country is going to go in was already in the news. But I think he's really showed to be really inept as a wartime leader. As you were sort of pointing out before, this is a man who chanted death to America and death to Israel all his life. But when it came to direct confrontation with America and Israel, Iranian civilians did the dying, Iranian soldiers did the fighting, whereas he was fighting and he's nowhere to even be seen and not able to make the major decisions.
When was the last time Bibi Netanyahu was on the front lines? Like, what a stupid thing. Leaders very rarely, like, they can say whatever rhetoric they want. They always do carry out whatever edicts they have by proxy, right? They use their military as proxy. Like, what a disingenuous fucking turd. Like, when was the last time a prime minister was on the front lines? I mean, obviously Australia has had prime ministers that were in, and a lot of politicians that were in the armed forces, but like, they're going to politics after that. It's like a bizarre expectation to have of a leader. That's insane. It's like, this bitch, he doesn't even go fight himself. Yeah, he's an old man. Are you insane?
So I think different figures who hope to take Iran into different directions are really plotting. And some of the people that I spoke to hope to, although they're not in touch with President Rouhani particularly, but they hope that someone like him and some other figures could take...
Donald Trump, he called for, to use the bunker penetrating bombs, but he didn't fly the B-52 jet himself. Yeah, he's not a trained pilot, but he still didn't fly it himself. So like, this is unacceptable. What a poo-poo head.
Take the reins and take Iran into a different direction.
I mean, Nazila, when you hear it, the president of Iran has spoken. The foreign minister, of course, seemed to lead the ceasefire, right? I mean, we know at least from reporting that the Ayatollah does not appear to have been part of that decision because he didn't have communications. The head of the IRGC has just spoken with new threats to the United States, and the Ayatollah said absolutely nothing. What do you make of it?
It is really hard to speculate what's happening. I mean, he clearly is absent from the picture. He either doesn't know what has happened, he is unaware of the scale of the conflict and the number of people who have lost their lives, and also his own military leaders who have been completely eliminated. He either doesn't know, or I think I saw something positive right before the ceasefire, and that might demonstrate that there is some kind of measured approach going on, and there is some kind of leadership emerging, because Iran did show restraint. Iran was the first country that acknowledged the ceasefire, and we are seeing that they are trying to de-escalate the crisis. I totally agree with Arash. This is the time that change is going to come. And there is not much love or support for the supreme leader. So maybe his absence is not being felt so much inside the country. He is the one whose reckless language caused the crisis. And also he's the man who has basically crushed any kind of dissent and any kind of reform that started from 1997 in the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jim, it is just truly spectacular to consider, right, that someone could lead a country for decades in this direction, right, and then at the moment of crisis, when ceasefire and such humiliation is nowhere to be seen. I know you just spoke with the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations a few moments ago.
See the way she framed that to agree to a ceasefire is humiliating? Is she trying to suggest that it's emasculating in some way to agree to peace? To not, like, does she think like it's small PP energy if you don't just keep on bombing the shit out of another country until you've got like no artillery left? Did you catch that? Am I insane, or is this woman like deranged? It's giving, I mean, well, look at this. It's giving, is it Edvard Munch, The Scream? Is that the painting? It's giving that.
Asked him about the Ayatollah. Does Israel have any idea where he is?
That's right. I spoke to Ambassador Danny Danon.
Phrenology, serious business.
That's really a question for the Iranians. But I pressed him and I said, do you have knowledge, and specifically, did Israel attempt to strike the supreme leader? Because as you mentioned, Aaron, Israel has taken out a number of senior military officials, nuclear experts, etc. Danon's answer, and I'm going to read it to be clear, he said, no, we know he's very old. We know he was hiding in a bunker for a while, but we don't know what's happening with him today. So the ambassador saying Israel did not attempt to strike him. I think a simple explanation is possible, and that it is a very nervous situation today for senior leaders in Iran, given how many have been killed in recent days by Israeli strikes. And it may very well be that he's continuing to take cover, right? And that, you know, using an electronic device in the midst of that is a dangerous thing to do.
Hi, he said what I said. He's smart.
Of course, we don't know who runs his social media
See,
account, given his age and who
I know
he is.
what's up.
It appears someone else posts things, but that hasn't been happening, right? That burning flag before the ceasefire, the last acknowledgement, Arash. Does it appear, and this is the crucial question, when you talk about regime change, those words that President Trump put into the ether last week and now says, oh, the U.S. doesn't want regime change, or that's not what they're seeking. Do you think that the Ayatollah is actually still in charge?
I don't think so. I think there are many signs in which he's not making the day-to-day decisions, and there are others who have stepped, into the spotlight there to do that.
Well, yeah, if he's in hiding, there would be somebody making decisions. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's a type of coup. But look, if there's a coup and that's what the Iranian people want, and they want to overthrow this regime, and they want to go back to like pre-1979, sort of a more liberal, one of the more liberal Islamic countries, then I mean, Godspeed. Like, I wish you well. If that's what you want to do as a people, you know, God be with you.
The National Security Council, for example, was the body that decided on the ceasefire, and that was clear. I should also say that in the last little while, I've spoken to someone, I reported about this in The Atlantic, of a number of people, military figures, businessmen, some of them political figures, who are having conversations. They were obviously very hesitant to talk to anyone, but you know, they spoke to me in the hope of putting this out to the world so that they'll see what are the reactions. And they're thinking, you know, they put it as sort of a plan for post-Khamenei Iran. Now, whether that's when Khamenei dies, if that's soon, or whether they can sideline him perhaps they can put him on the house arrest. They can sort of temporarily keep him as a figurehead, but you know, as it is now, effectively let the decisions pass elsewhere. And these are figures to have hopes for someone like Rouhani, and you know, they have some interesting characteristics, but very much they very much would like to Iran to have better relations with the region. Some of them are in touch with the GCC countries, with which Iran has had developing relations. So I very much think that, and they also believe that they're not the only plot in town, that there are other plots going on in Tehran in this regard. So I very much think that this is a moment when it's possible that one of these will win and will able to push Iran into.
I mean, if there are plots afoot, it would be an opportune time to overthrow, you know, for opposition groups, for revolutionaries to overthrow the Ayatollah. It would be an opportune time, right, to do that. It definitely would be. So, yeah.
To a different direction.
Duolingo just sent me my do your lesson by midnight or you'll lose your 500-day streak. It's like, okay, calm down. Calm down, Al. It's all right. I'll do it after the stream. My God.
James Elder, welcome. You've just been in Gaza last week. What is the situation there since the Israeli conflict with Iran began?
David, Gaza, devastation keeps redrawing the bottom line, if you will, and with very little, if any, pushback from the international community. So this is my 5th time being in Gaza since those horrors of the 7th of October. Two things I think strike me beyond the grave situation of civilians there. One is water. There's been a complete denial of any fuel to come in for the desalination plants for 100 days.
Oh my
we are
goodness.
Weeks away from children dying of thirst. So the level of...
And Trump has the audacity to chide Australia for trying to make some type of statement about this. Like, I'm sorry that if you don't think this is wrong, America has no moral high ground to stand on. Would you do on stream? That could be fun. What to do my Duolingo lesson on stream? Yeah, I don't know if that would be interesting to anybody.
Stress in a population under bombardment has hit new highs. And the other, I think, of all the things deprived going into Gaza, the food, the medicines, it's painkillers. I never get used, David, to seeing those little girls and boys with the 4th-degree burns or the shrapnel. But this time around, I heard them. You hear the screams of those children. So, and of course, all this is man-made, David. This is utterly avoidable. This is not logistical. This is political. We could change this within 24 hours by allowing medicines and fuel and so on to enter the Gaza Strip. But that's not happening.
I want to come to how the delivery of aid has changed there and what it means for organisations like yours. But just on the situation for kids in particular, on this program last week, Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister claimed there was no starvation.
Like, if you can't separate human suffering from your political ideals, from left, right, all this culture war bullshit, how can you see a child in a hospital bed and just see them as like, oh, well, they're Palestinian, yada, yada, yada. It's like, no, they're a child. they're a child. If you don't just look and say, that's a child, and feel, you know, nothing but sorrow for the situation that they're in, like, you're not human. Sorry, but you're not human. You need to remove yourself from society, go get a boat, sail out to an uninhabited island and live there. Because, yeah, you're not fit to be a part of the human race. So, yeah, you should sequester yourself away. We don't want you here. Maybe you and the other creeps can, you know, go be together.
In Gaza, she said only warnings of imminent starvation. What's your response to that?
Well, we just have to look to the world's preeminent nutritional body that uses an array of devices to garner nutritional evidence across the population, as it has done in Sudan, as it has done in Ethiopia, as it has done in Somalia, as it has done for decades. And its warning is of 500,000 people. Its warning is of famine, but also starvation. Now, this is an important thing. It's a little confusing, David, but it's important. When famine occurs, if famine occurs, it's too late. Famine means mass death, but starvation is when a child's immune system starts to shut down. That's already happening. So every time there's a warning of famine, the international community responds and Israel loosens controls a little bit and food is allowed in, and then the international community gets distracted and it's again tightened, and we see this nutritional situation collapse as we're seeing now. Children's bodies are not waiting for some technical declaration in Gaza. I've seen hundreds of children and adults, as I'm driving through in an armoured vehicle, do this hand-to-mouth sign of hunger. I've seen the signs in hospitals. The evidence, unfortunately, yet again, actual evidence.
And this isn't a political person. This is a health professional. These people, they don't have an agenda. They don't have a dog in this race. This is clearly an Australian medical professional. What reason does he have to push a political agenda? He doesn't have any. He's just seeing children suffering. And like any person with a soul, like that is, you know, I have trouble really watching this stuff because yeah, I get upset. Like, I am a woman of childbearing age. It tears my soul apart. Like, it's painful to watch because there's nothing we can do. And even when Australia does, you know, something like, even when we want to stand, you know, with the UK and New Zealand and Canada and say, hey, we just want to send a message that we think what you're doing is immoral, we get chided by America. But this is a human reality. This is what's happening to a people. Like, children are starving. Children are starving, and I guarantee you that Mossad could, if they wanted to, tomorrow extract these hostages. This is just a pretext to drag this out and continue this. And even if that weren't the case, the people, the ordinary, everyday citizens of Gaza aren't responsible for what one militant organization within their society did. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely unhinged. It's repugnant, morally reprehensible. There aren't even words in the English language to articulate how horrible this is. It's monstrous. Like, these aren't the actions of humans. Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli government are inhuman because humans with souls wouldn't have the capacity to commit these kinds of atrocities. There just aren't words in the English language to even explain the evilness other than demonic and monstrous, because yeah, just stuff of nightmares. Absolutely disgusting.
Is very clear for girls and boys in Gaza.
Let's just explore how aid is being delivered. So the privately run Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, set up about a month ago, supported by Israel and the United States. Its aim is to ensure that aid can be delivered without falling into the hands of Hamas. In practice, how is this system working?
I think there's been senior officials who've explained its stated aim is actually to force displacement of people from north to south.
Because they only have distribution in the south, is that right?
Yes, one place in the middle area, and there's 4 distribution points. This is a handful of sites, and they're militarized. Now, the United Nations made very clear, there is a very clear reason why you can't have one party to a conflict handing out aid to those it chooses in a combat site, because it's a combat site. So we have now seen reports of 400, 500 people killed around these distribution points, because people go there because they are being starved, such is the level of deprivation. They're forced to go to these sites. They were described to me, David, as like the Hunger Games, corralled into like cattle pens. And then there's firing, there's tank shells.
And don't forget that the Talmud calls non-Jewish people cattle. Don't think that this is like, you know, this is just a coincidence that they're using cattle pens. No, that's what they think. That's what they think of you. That's what it says in the Talmud. That's what they think of you. No, sorry, but my God says that we are all worthy of his grace. We are all worthy of heaven. We are all God's children. And yeah, I don't follow. That's why I hate it when they say Judeo-Christian values. It's like, my values have nothing to do with your values, sir. Move along.
A little boy who went to get bread, who was killed at one of these sites. And then when there is a mass killing, it is explained away by the IDF as it was a combat site. It is the most ludicrous but lethal catch-22. And I guess the final point, David, is that humanitarian aid is much more than food in a box. It's incubators, it's oxygen, it's hygiene kits for girls. So we do have to look at it.
Just on these incidents, and we're seeing repeated reports of these incidents of people being killed trying to access this aid. As you point out, Israel is casting doubt on whether this is even happening. On a couple of occasions it said it will investigate. What have you actually seen? Because yes, we're relying on what's coming from the Hamas-run health officials in Gaza, but what further evidence is there that these killings, as you describe them, are actually happening?
I've spoken to dozens of people, and this is when I'm going around to a program not to speak about these sites, but to speak about our cash work, or to talk to women who've got malnourished children and do that supply. And it always comes up because there are some young boys who are going to go there or have been there or want to go. And I've spoken to young men who've been there 7 times and never succeeded. The stories are consistent. We go, we're put in cages, there are quadcopters, at some point there is shooting, and then often there's tank fire. And I think...
Yeah, to have the enemy combatants be the one that distributes aid, this guy's 100% right. That's such an untenable position, because obviously they don't want to feed their enemies. Obviously, their aims here are ethnic cleansing or genocide. So, of course, starving people is beneficial. Look at what they've done to, like, a lot of the infrastructure in Gaza is just leveled. They want these people to not be able to return to their homes and to not be able to live in Gaza anymore, if and when this conflict ends. Yeah, and America is the country that's allowing this to continue, and it's absolutely disgusting. And I hope the voices of the other Western nations get louder and louder and louder, and maybe America will listen. And if they don't want to listen, maybe Israel and America can go off and like live together in their little bubble, you know, blowing each other or whatever they want to do. It's none of my business. I'm not here to judge. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I would love for there to be a thing where we put sanctions on America and Israel and say, pull your heads in. But I just think with how under the thumb and how scared America's so-called allies seem to be of America, I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. But yeah, regardless of what your religion is or your skin color or whatever, if you don't think that killing children is wrong, yeah, you're not human. You're not a member of the human race. Get help. Seriously, just get help.
The officials have been quite clear on who has done that shooting, because they've explained that these are combat sites. Again, cannot lure a civilian population to a combat site and then excuse away killing them. So for one little example, because I think it was key to understand, go through the fog of war, I went to a hospital and I met a little 13-year-old boy, David.
This is Abdul Rahman, incredibly brave boy, just sitting on his bed. He has insisted he sit up. He's insisted that he sit up to have this, to be in this shot. He wants his story told. Abdul Rahman, his father, gave him some money to go and get bread. As he was going, he saw people moving en masse to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution. So he thought this was his chance to get more than his bread for his family.
He went standard story on any day: chaos, drones, gunfire, a tank shell exploded, ripped through his stomach. When I met this little boy, he was telling his story, David. His dad's in tears, of course, because the little guy just went to get food for his family. After my 2 weeks in Gaza, on my final day, this little guy, Abed al-Rahman, died of those injuries. Died trying to get food for his family. This is not a one-off. This is happening consistently and will continue to, because it's a combat site. This is why you cannot invite people in to a combat zone to distribute aid.
And just explain to us organisations like UNICEF and others, like World Central Kitchen.
Can we do airdrops? Surely Israel isn't going to shoot UN helicopters out of the sky, right? Can we not? Like, I remember when I was like a kid and there was like a famine in Bangladesh and a famine in Somalia and Ethiopia. I remember them like airdropping food, right? Like parachuting food in. I mean, if America shoots a UN planes or UN choppers out of the sky, surely we form a coalition and go in there, right? They've killed 400 plus workers so far. I know they have. I want to say I don't understand why this is happening, but I know why it's happening. It's happening because America backs these monsters. Absolutely monstrous evil government. Absolute, like, yeah, I just
You're still able to deliver aid, but what are the restrictions you're facing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So UNICEF is fortunate. Our mandate is so broad. So we do education, we do trauma. I mean, this is the only place in the world that UNICEF sadly can say that every single child requires mental health support. So we do amazing work there. Remembering, child psychologists tell me in Gaza, it's not called PTSD because there's no P, nothing is post. Traumas are ongoing, children get new traumas, they intersect. The water work we do is huge, but again, we are down to 20% based on fuel. I've been to nutrition distributions for malnourished children. Hundreds and hundreds of women and grandmothers with malnourished babies, and yet not all of them get the support that they need. So we know we're at 10-15% of our capacity based on the deprivation. We almost have another full blockade. It's the additional risk of these militarized, weaponized sites. Even though there's only 4 of them, and even though at their very best they promise to only reach 10 to 15% of the population, it'll be many less than that, it is designed to sideline a humanitarian system. It is a concern, I guess, David, that, there are very few people bearing witness, and we've asked so many times to allow international journalists to show the truth, to show the evidence, which is so starkly apparent there. And of course, if the United Nations is sidelined, those tried and tested systems, then a whole range of other people who are able to bear witness to these daily atrocities would be removed from Gaza.
James Elder, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David.
Well, I wanna try and find something more lighthearted to watch that's actually just hurts my soul too much, and just taking politics out of it aside and just looking at it from a moral standpoint. Like, I really just think the left-right paradigm is so redundant now. It's just, to me, about what's right or wrong. I just don't care. I'm just so done with the culture wars. I'm so done with all this bullshit. Just, you're a good person, you try to be a good person, or you're not. And if you see evil and you don't call it out, then, you know, what are you? Economies are advanced beyond modern politics anyway. Yeah. I'm just sick of people being dehumanized, you know, in aid of like progressing some type of ideology. I'm just so sick of it. It's like, no, we're all people. Like every person deserves to live their life with safety and dignity. And if you don't think that, then like, I don't even know. The world is freaking bleak, man. Trying to find something nice to watch. Let's watch a fail compilation of just people freaking hurting themselves. I say as I say, we should all be good to each other. I'm like, let's watch some people maim themselves. Ha ha ha. But Geordie's new video is fun. Yeah, it probably is, but I don't want to watch politics. I want to watch people like getting hit in the balls or something, you know, because I don't have balls, so it's all good. Oh, I don't like kids getting hurt. Oh shit, fuck. Oh, why are cats always doing shit like that? That's something that I would do. I'd be like, yo, look how cool I am with my nunchucks, and just totally fuck up something behind me because I'm an idiot. Whenever I try and look cool, like I always like will stack it or like just embarrass myself. Just, yeah, just a clumsy person. Wait. How did the egg explode? What did I just watch? What's happening? Did it have gas in it? Oh, it was a cooked egg.
Sorry.
Was that her wig that fell off? I was trying to work out what happened. These aren't really funny. Fail videos have gotten dumb. Oh shit. Gee.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Good? You alright?
That was a delayed scream.
Give yourself a little bit more slack. Just right there. Can you slide one foot down? Don't hang on to the hardware. Okay, now move your feet now.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
It's one way to get your jollies, I guess. It's having a right old time. I bet his wife hears that sound late at night. He's like, yeah, babe, I'm just going outside to tend to the shrubs. Like, yeah, we know what you're doing. We all know what you're doing. I didn't even see what happened. That's a big boy. Oh, it's a strong boy. Did you get him in the dick? Oh, Bub. She hurt her head. She cracked it. Oh.
Are you okay?
What a trooper. She just got right back up.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, the wheelie bins are out of control. Oh, what the heck? Oh.
That was a nice stretch. Can you place that ring on Logan's finger and say, with this ring, I do wed?
That's I really like this veil and wedding dress combo. That's like super classy. It's giving 1920s, but also contemporary. I don't know. It's yeah, it's very it's kind of timeless. Like, she won't look at her wedding photos in like 50 years and go, oh, like, you know, when you look at like people that were married in like the 80s or 90s or 2000s, you can tell what decade they were married in because of like the dresses, like the 80s dresses with like the poofy sleeves and like the shoulder pads and stuff. And it's like, oh God, no.
Well, by the power invested in me by all you people, I pronounce them husband and wife.
He trod on her veil, you monster. That would have hurt too, because it would have been bobby pinned in. Oh, good on her for not screaming. I would have gone cunt. I would have sworn, because I'm not a lady. Ooh. Maybe I'm not laughing because I feel like I would do a lot of this stuff. So I'm like, I kind of have too much empathy because I'm such an unco, like, just don't know how I'm still alive type person. I'm not going to finish watching this because it's just not making me laugh. Usually these things make me laugh. Maybe I'm just too sad. We'll watch this video that Hyperbovian put. Oh, Japanese. This is going to be good. Human Tetris. I don't know what the commentary is. I can't speak Japanese. I'm learning Korean. No Nihongo. Oh. It didn't put captions on. Sugoi. I knew the sugoi. That's one of the words I know. Sugoi. Oishii. I'm glad they're wearing helmets, jeez. Are they playing sped up into Indiana Jones music? Because I had dun 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 dun. I'm an Indiana Jones fangirl. Plus Harrison Ford looks a lot like young Harrison Ford looks like a young version of my dad as well. So I'm always like, it's my dad. He's off to the Temple of Doom, or he's off to like find the Holy Grail, or you know, the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know. It just reminds me of my dad. I like it. Now it's the can. Do you think they just put lube all over the stairs? Do you think it's just like KY jelly? Like, what is it? What is the goo? I mean, it's probably like, you know, sexy time lubricant, because let's be honest, it's Japan. And check the top comment. Okay, I will. Cops try to climb the stairs in Diddy's mansion. Oh, we shouldn't laugh because some of the things those women went through are awful. But and men. Diddy is an equal opportunist in that respect, we will say. But yeah, fucking hell. No. Yeah, maybe it is baby oil on the stairs. Jeez. I gotta give that a like though. Fucking hell. Do you reckon the Red Power Rangers gonna win? Go Power Rangers. Dun 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 dun. Mighty Morphin. Ooh. Come on, Red Power Ranger. No, he got so far. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. Oh, it's a raccoon. Look at him. He's so cute.
These are the funniest animal videos ever.
Are they? I will be the judge. Thank you. Judge, jury, and executioner. What is it? Oh, that scared the shit out of me. Oh, he's so actually really cute.
So cute. Oh my god.
Why are you still here? Go away.
He wants chips. Give him chips.
Wilson just coughed and farted.
I need an egg.
Oh.
Thank you.
That was convenient. Whoa.
These people were lost and stopped to ask for directions.
Buenas tardes, perdona, para Bolonia. Venga, gracias. Qué bueno, tío.
What the fuck? That's I know some people that have a forehead like that. Not naming any names, but I know some people that look like that fish. It's tough out there. Oh.
Oh my god. He's eating my car. Maybe there's something dead on it.
Oh god, that's yucky. Oh.
This sheep was stuck in a trench and got rescued.
Oh, and he falls straight back in. Oh no. See, some animals are just really dumb. I have a really dumb cat. I even worry about leaving her alone for like more than an hour. I'm like, what's she gonna get herself into? Just like some animals have just like no self-preservation instinct. It's like they're just out there maiming themselves when they don't have supervision, getting themselves stuck in places. Like, what are you gonna do?
Being so patient. You've been so patient.
Not the other one.
Okay, now.
Oh, geez. Aw, that's cute.
This poor little hedgehog deflated.
What the heck?
These girls found a squirrel on the side of the road that they thought could use some help.
Oh my god.
This person tried picking up a frog.
1, 2, 3. You did not.
It weed on her.
Go, Saskia.
Oh, jeez. That was a manly burp.
Hey, you almost done?
Oh, look at his little stumpy legs and his mullet. He would go hard in Australia.
Come here. No, no. Pass me the ball.
Yeah, Australia represent. Get him, son. Oh, right through the corrugated iron fence. Color bond. An ad for color bond. Nagata Prefecture. Oh,
Security camera and it's
snow leopards. Oh, baby. Oh, I love how all sized cats are just cats. Whoa, he could get a corn hub account. Jeez. Yo, I tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Oh, I see how it is. Rude.
So this is really interesting, and I have no explanation for why, but this frog refuses to jump outside of this circle.
Yeah, see?
Oh, that's my dream life. Oh, he's into you.
Sick. Can I put it on, bro?
Oh, I thought he was trying to seduce him. He just wants that drip. Oh, that's so cool. Monkey see, monkey do. Oh, geez. Chicken run.
Hi. For some
It's a
reason, this horse doesn't
cockatoo.
like talking to men.
No boys.
Maybe the cockatoos don't know how to sound like proper cockatoos when they're not in Australia and don't have the other cockatoos to talk to, because that's not how he should sound. Because if there's one thing I know, it's how a cocky sounds. Oof.
Right?
It's not pleasant. Aww. It's gonna spit on you. It was like, oh, that looks like a nice, safe place to go. Oh, are these the ones in Turkey? Are these the ones in Denizli? I've been to the place where these are from. They crow so much that they just fall over and pass out. If you go to, there's this ancient Grecian, like Roman city in Denizli. And there's also like Pamukkale. It's like natural hot spring. It's like, it means cloud castle in Turkish, I think. And it's like, I'll show you. But anyway, this is where those dudes are. And there's like an ancient city called Hierapolis. I'll show you. Pamukkale. Well, I can't spell, but that's okay. Yeah, so it looks like this. So that's what that looks like. And then this is the ancient Roman. This is the ancient Roman, because like they built the city around of Hierapolis. They built the city of Hierapolis around like the hot spring. So this is an ancient Roman bath that you can still go in, and there's just Roman columns in there, and you can just like sit on the Roman columns. And this is about like 35 degrees Celsius, this water. It's like really warm. So don't go there in summer, I guess, is the takeaway. But this is, yeah, this is so beautiful. So that's a Roman bath. You're going to have to pay to go in there. But, and then, yeah, there's just ruins of this ancient city. It's beautiful. But that's where the bird, that's where the cock that passes out, the cockerel, sorry, that passes out comes from. There he goes.
Fire to warm up his horses that were in the field.
For the horses here. And this one might have got a little close.
These two little guys were
I like his hairstyle.
This gorilla was upset that their stick got stuck.
Oh no!
Aww. Are they cane toads? Dude, who keeps a cane toad as a pet? Sorry, but I've never even been to Queensland, but my instinct as an Australian is just to, you know, game over, if you know what I mean. Yeah, go son.
Mashallah. Yeah.
Poor guy got so upset.
Aww. Is that a blue-tongued lizard? It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's a blue-tongued lizard. These, I had a blue-tongued lizard in my bedroom once. It just went in there, and my brother got him out for me because I was like, oh, I'm too scared to grab him in case I hurt his leg. So my brother just got a towel and took him out for me. It's like the poor little guy. I don't even know how he just got in there. He was just in the corner of my room. I could hear this noise. Like, my family live in the middle of a national park, so that's why like that happened. But yeah, we've had like giant snakes in like the laundry and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's my favorite part about living in Australia. It's just all the cool animals. You don't know what you're gonna find in your house. Exciting. The floor's too slippery for him. Help him.
Are you good or are you bad?
Bad. I knew that was happening.
Really brave or really dumb.
A little from column A, a little from column B. Yeah, cats will staunch anything. Go, get him, get him, get him. Get out of here.
This poor pelican suddenly fell asleep.
They will. Look, he just has to... Yeah.
Oh, vicious.
Where are you going?
This cat was chasing a mouse and couldn't figure out where it went.
Where's the mouse, Tucker?
Where's the mouse?
Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse? Then grab the mouse by the tail.
I'm trying to. No.
I guess you never know when squirrels might attack.
Aw, he's smiling.
This pigeon was walking around and intentionally put on some bread necklaces.
He's an inbred pigeon.
This llama heard someone make a rude comment.
Ew, he's ugly. That's cute. Damn, did I say something?
Yeah, how dare you? Why don't you look in the mirror first before you call? Ooh. Same. You know what, guys? I think we've got the point. We have been streaming for 2.5 hours. I did pretty good for a sick and dying girl. Let's end the stream. It's yeah, it's one of those nights. So yeah. Well, thank you for hanging out. See you next time. Bye.